Greetings, everybody. We are currently at the Citadel or fortress where Stefan Mare, one of the kings of this region, had his post in. It's actually called Cetatea de Scaun, and we're loosely translating it to Citadel. It's in Suceava, and we're going to give you guys a quick tour of the Citadel so that you would know what it looks like. It's actually a ruin. It's similar to ruins in Britain or France. So we're basically showcasing and profiling some of the Eastern European ruins and kingdoms in this part of the world, and hopefully we can get more tourism and people to want to come out to this part of Romania. It's in the Moldova region, and the citadel itself looks like it's kind of bigger than most ruins that I've seen so far. Definitely bigger than some of the ruins that I've seen in Germany. But here it is. It's pretty interesting. It's got a mute too, so I guess they used to be surrounded by water. And we shall walk around and give you guys an idea of what it looks like up close and personal. So this is Stefan Mare. He lived from 1457 to 1504, and he's one of the most prominent kings or rulers of this region. Yeah, we're gonna head on in to give you guys an idea of what it looks like up close and personal with this ruin. There's plenty of places to sit and just admire, the ruins. There's also a map, so let's try to get closer, and I'll give you guys a quick look of this map. So this is the city of Suceava, and as y'all can see, there's several churches. And legend has it is that some of these churches were built. Some of the older churches that look like this on the map, the monument historic, that purple legend there, was a church that is of significance to Stefan Mare's ruling of Suceava when he was still alive. And this type of legend is a historic location. So the one at the top is a monument, historic monument, and the one at the bottom is a historic location. And this is the picture of the Cetatea de Scaun of Suceava. So this is what it used to look like back in the day when they were excavating it. And so anyway, we're gonna go in real quick and give you guys an idea of what this very interesting Romanian historical site is. And basically, like I was saying, Most people in America knows about the Western civilization of Europe, and they see a lot of ruins, castles, towers, and other things that are, somewhat associated to Western European countries only. But now that Romania is starting to open up and the tourism industry here is improving, there's much more better places to explore in medieval towns of Central and Eastern Europe, in my opinion. I've traveled throughout Europe, but these sites are fairly new, and new to most people in America anyway, in terms of travel destinations. And like I was saying in my previous vlogs, over here, like the tourism sector is fairly affordable. There's a lot of very interesting medieval content to their history, and on top of that, it, most of them are pretty eye-opening, just because of the relevance to world history. Some of these well-preserved and well documented historical sites in Eastern Europe. So here you are. And we're definitely trying to promote Romania as a travel destination. It's one of the most affordable hidden gems on the planet, actually. The site of this citadel itself is pretty incredible. You guys will be, definitely well stationed should you come here and gain some, local knowledge about the Romanian culture, history, and these historical sites. Typically, what I would recommend is to spend a day or two in this location and take in, the modern aspect of the city as well as the older section of the city. So they have an airport that you can fly into from Bucharest or other parts of Europe, and just check that out. It's pretty cool, huh? It's one of the hidden gems of Eastern Europe. If you're a history buff or you just would like to learn about Romania as a civilization during the medieval times, this is like a fairy tale book that you get to relive, as far as the history and the civilization in Eastern Europe. So look at that. So what you all are looking at, folks, right now is the same view that the inhabitants of this castle once got to see. And we're gonna go inside and enter the gate. What's interesting mostly about this kind of historical site is just basically the content behind the civilization in itself. It's a modern civilization today, but this during the medieval times, life here was very unique because they're fortified, so they weren't living similar to the peasants and the other people, the common people that were outside of the citadel. Over here is the defense tower, and we're gonna go in, check it out. There's limited light, but at least get to see some of these, lifelike events that took place when the inhabitants of this citadel was around. So eyewitnesses described the fortress of Suceava in the 15th, 17th century. The Ottoman expedition to Moldova led by the Sultan Mehmed II the Conqueror. After the Battle of Ras Boyni, a part of the Ottoman army led by the Sultan left for Suceava, which they found empty because the inhabitants had run away and their possessions had been partly taken along the partly hidden underground. The city of Suceava was surrounded by moats and palisades. The houses and the churches were made of wood and covered with shingles. Only the castle of Suceava was built of stone and masonry on the outskirts outside the city. This resisted, and it was well supplied. So there's some, historical explanations that were provided. So this is what it looks like. Look, if you were in this citadel during the annexation of Suceava. And, Romania wasn't a country during Stefan Mare's time. There's various principalities and districts and regions throughout the country back then. So they unified Romania later on to be a country. So this part of Romania was actually separate from the Austro-Hungarian Empire, but Transylvania at one point was a part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And now we're at the Fortress Gatekeeper, and we're going to go in. And as I mentioned, these are medieval times. They're not, similar to the Western civilization and the empires of those and kingdoms of those civilizations. These men does not resemble the knights of Western Europe. They kind of look like knights and dress like knights, but they're not knighted the way that, the British knighted their soldiers as well as their warriors. Some of these knights were actual prisoners that were, peasants that were basically working under a higher, executive system. They were told to stay in a position and never leave that post. They weren't very skilled, but that was the day back then. There's a very big difference between the royal guards of other kingdoms versus the peasant guards that work here. They have, they have all sorts of really interesting history throughout Romania. But with that said, they also have some of the most well-preserved historical landmarks.
Ci s-a întors Stefan Voievod cu toți oștenii lui ca un purtător de biruință în cetatea sa de Scaun a Sucevei. În vara anului 1476 se desfășoară asediul otoman asupra cetății Sucevei, condus de sultanul Mahomed al II-lea Cuceritorul. Apărarea cetății este coordonată de șederea primul portal de Suceava, urmatul Stefan cel Mare.
Okay, folks, we're gonna keep on moving just so y'all can see the whole citadel. But as I mentioned, it's one of the most well-preserved ruins, considering that it was actually built in the, I believe, 13th and 14th century. So imagine, you know, the care and preservation process that was done in this part of Romania. You know, it's a pretty nice place to visit, especially reading about the history and the relevance of the citadel to the overall content of medieval history. So we're going to be heading up to the top so y'all can see what it looks like from the same eye view of the rulers of Romania. So some of these churches were actually erected by Stefan cel Mare, I believe, according to the history legend provided by, you know, the city of Suceava. So when Stefan cel Mare was living, this is what he would look at, minus the houses and everything else. But just, you know, the regular scenery would be flat land, mountains, and churches. So what y'all are looking at right now is the view that Stefan cel Mare and his staff and everybody else that was inside in the protection of the citadel was looking at. So yeah, this is definitely pretty interesting to come and visit. And I believe the cost is under $10 to get in. So, and you can stay as long as you want. And these are the views that Stefan cel Mare got to see without the houses. Right, so anyway, let us know if you have any questions. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like us on Facebook. We're gonna share some more description and website regarding this citadel at the bottom section of our video blog. And hope you guys are enjoying this, you know, video blog, once in a lifetime kind of experience to visit this part of the world. So make sure to you know, add this location to your visit list when you're in Romania. So that's the courtyard. Obviously there was only a selected few that was allowed into the citadel when the king was around, but that's just how it is. So this is Stefan cel Mare's hall. This is where the king would stay, and this is let's see if I can find any information in English. So this is where Stefan cel Mare would be located. Let's see if I can. Okay. In 1499, the retreat of the Ottoman army that had attacked Poland, and when they came to Wallachia between the Dniester and the Prut, they wanted to cross the Pruth, then avoid Stephen raised his army, and he had the Ottomans killed in all manners possible, and he had put them thrown into the Pruth. So this is where Stefan Mare would sit, next to the heater, and he's guarded by these men with swords. So imagine all that stuff during the day when Stefan Mare was still around, and then that's this way downstairs, but we're gonna take the outside route to walk down. But that was pretty interesting. The hall is much smaller than some of the kings of other European kingdoms and castles, and here is what I believe is also where he would preside over over his people, and that's where he would sit. Actually, this is a church, so he's got his special seat at the church, and everybody else get to basically surround him during the service. With that said, I hope you guys are enjoying some of the things that we're sharing with you. Some of them are fairly new on YouTube, so make sure to share and subscribe to our channel. Like us on Facebook. Our objective is to share historical sites and visitors venue with the world that have not been so widely known about. These are hidden gems that very few people have been aware of, and so we're showcasing and profiling them for you. And I mean, this whole video blog is only 30 minutes long, and it's not the longest video blog, but I believe through our initiative and a way for us to simply showcase some of these tourist destination would at least spark some interest for people to want to visit and participate in economic development throughout the world. So this is Petro the First Musat's Hall, and he's also one of the conquerors, or I guess leaders that led Romania, or this part of the region back then. Before there was a Romania, he was also a king. And so yeah, this is what it all looks like, folks. Like I said, there's access to this town from the airport, and it's not that far to travel to. I'm gonna do a part 2 to this video, but for now I think I'm gonna take some pictures. So I hope you guys are enjoying your tour with us. This is Cetatea de Scaun in Suceava, where Stefan Mare, Stephen the Great, stayed during his reign of Bukovina. Back then, before there was a Romania. Alright folks, I'll be right back. Stay tuned. Take care.